acceptable respect for key things. People talk about a desire to be successful. All of the elements.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope that everybody is off to a good start this morning. I hope that you have closed out a good, productive week, all things considered. I know that we are dealing with a lot, trying to adjust to whatever the new norm will be when the stay-at-home orders are finally lifted. I know there's a lot of ongoing debates on when will be the right time, who truly has our best interests at heart. And my advocacy has been from day one to be aware and educated on what the topics are and how things are going, to be diligent in researching everything that comes across your television screen or your social media page or anything on your devices. Don't take anything at face value. Do the work and research, and also find you 5 or 6 sources that you can fact check and say, okay, I can trust what they put in front of me because they have developed a pattern of reporting the facts. And I can take these facts and draw conclusions. You're going to have to develop a sense, an ability and capacity to think critically. We have to stop allowing everyone else to think for us. That's lazy, and it never serves our good. People will exploit it. People will use it to their benefit, and they will leave you laying on the ground in the process. I'm not here to tell you how to think. What I am here to do is challenge you to think. And that's what I consistently do. I stay researching, learning. Why? Because I want to share with you the facts. I want to share with you the findings. I want to share with you the things that are possible. But I want to encourage you as well. I want to encourage you to know that no matter where you are right now, there's something better for you if you're willing to be committed, if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to make the changes. And so I want to put that out there. Also, I want to remind everybody before I move forward, sign up for the 90-day health challenge. One of the things that we're all suffering with, and with my recent, health scares and everything, it's obvious that it's something I personally have to work on, and I've committed to that. But I'm challenging everybody. We've got to change our view on health. We've got to change our view on being as healthy as we possibly can. And I'm not just talking about physically. While I am speaking on that, I'm talking about emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and physically. We need a holistic, homeostatic existence if we're truly going to rise and be everything that we can be as individuals and as a collective. That's my challenge to you. So I'm going to invite all of you guys to join me in the 90-day holistic health challenge. The basic information is there. You want to call me and talk about what we're talking about doing. We're talking about 90 days of really, truly engaging in practices and behaviors that's going to change and relieve us of anxiety and stress. It's going to put us in a situation to be more physically fit. It's going to put us in a situation to be more in tune spiritually and in tune with our Creator, to be connected in ways, be connected to God in ways that we haven't in the past, and so many other things that we're going to involve in this. I'm challenging you to do it. If you don't do it with me, you need to make a commitment to do it, because if you can do it for 90 days, you're going to literally change your life. You're going to create some new habits in that 90 days that's literally going to point you to a healthier lifestyle, to a capacity to be more successful in areas of your life that you may be struggling in. But it starts with a commitment. 90 days. Come do it with me. Yes, I'm going to, because of the services I'm going to be providing, it does cost, but it's definitely worth every penny that you're going to spend, and way more. Trust me, way, way more. But I'm excited about doing it. Join in on me. So let's get to something. Let's talk this morning. I'm not going to be before you long, but I want to talk to you about the need to stop sabotaging yourself. That's something that I see a lot with people that come to me, is that they've been self-sabotaging, that they've literally been disrupting their momentum, disrupting their progress, disrupting changes. And it happens for a number of different reasons, but it happens. Some people, for instance, I had one person come to me, and they were married, and they had made up in their mind that they were going to make some changes to their lives, because they were coming home every day, um, you know, same old routine, out of shape, disconnected from their spouse, overwhelmed by what was going on at work, and they decided to make some changes. And so what they did is, as they started to make changes, they started to see changes in themselves physically. They were starting to get fit. But what happened is, as they start to change, they start to realize that they had grown into a rut with other people, that even though there was distance between them and their spouse, that distance had somewhat in some kind of way been accepted, and that each person was just being them, come home every night, walk by their spouse, sitting on the couch watching TV. Nobody says anything but, hey, how you doing? And going about their business, but it was accepted. Nobody was complaining. And so when the person started to lose weight, get in shape, and started to feel good about themselves, they started to see the distance between them and their spouse, and it started to scare them. They start to see that the more that they changed, the more they grew, the more aspirations they had, the fewer people that were headed in the same direction as them. And they start to ask themselves the question, subconsciously now, they start to ask themselves the question, how many people will fall by the wayside? So let's ask themselves the question, how many people am I going to lose as friends? Can my marriage withstand me elevating myself if my spouse doesn't come along for the ride? And without even thinking about it, and without knowing why, they stop working out. They stop going to personal development seminars or reading books, or whatever it is that they've been doing, because of the discomfort and the uncertainty that comes along with the change. They self-sabotage. I've had people come along, and what it is they're changing again, but now they're concerned, as they change, that the people in their periphery won't co-sign the change, that they're going to be criticized, that they're going to be judged because they're doing something differently than they've done before. They all of a sudden realize that not everybody is going to be okay with the change, and they self-sabotage. They stop changing. They stop working at it. They stop going to the gym. They stop going to church. They stop going to seminars. Whatever it is that they are personally doing to change their life, they stop. Why? Because their fear of the uncertain, of the unknown, that they're trying to get out there. But what they want to do is, have you ever noticed that when someone's going through a process of change, they tend to have, there's this statement that people make all the time, it just doesn't feel right. And they use the fact that it doesn't feel right to stop. What they're actually saying when they're saying it doesn't feel right, they're actually saying it doesn't feel familiar. Anytime that you start doing something that you haven't done before, there's a sense of discomfort. There's a sense of uncertainty. There's this level of discomfort that comes with it. And most people say it doesn't feel right. What they're really meaning is it doesn't feel familiar. See, you can get caught up in a situation. You don't have to like it. You can actually dislike it. But if you do it enough, if you get caught up in it enough, you will find yourself comfortable with what you don't like. You've gotten comfortable with it because you've become familiar with it. You've become familiar with the disengagement with your spouse. You've become familiar with being ignored, underappreciated, and underpaid at work. You've become familiar with a lackadaisical connectivity with the children. You've become familiar with not feeling like you're appreciated and loved in many ways across many relationships. And so in this, you've become comfortable, but when you decide to change, you decide to set some new standards, some new perimeters, some new goals, it feels uncomfortable. It feels, why? Because it's unfamiliar. You're moving into uncharted territory. You're going into something and you're doing something a little differently than you've done it before. And all of a sudden, it takes you to a space where you can't easily predict. See, the one thing that you have in this blah blah life, or this life that you're not happy with but you're familiar with, is you have predictability. You know, if I get up every day and I go to work, if I do this, this is going to happen. You know, normally me and the spouse, we're going to end up doing this. We may go do this, you know, every now and then, but it's going to be like it's this blah blah thing, but it's predictable. You pretty much know when you get up and do what you do every day, what you're going to get in return, because you've been doing it so long. When you start to change, there's this point of unpredictability because there's some uncertainty. You don't know, but what you have to know is that the universal law of reciprocity tells you that what you sow, you reap. When you put out something better, you get something better back. Now, you may not know what it is, when it is, and when it's coming, but it's coming. If you put it out, you nurture it. You become committed to it. It's coming. You've got to be committed to becoming someone better and be willing to go through the difficulty of not being familiar, the discomfort of not being familiar, the discomfort of not knowing, the discomfort of going through the fear of judgment and criticism. You've got to be at a point of knowing that if I continue to work on myself, I'm going to become better. And I'm refusing to act it, in a way that locks me back or pushes me back because I'm worried or fearful of what the outcome may be. We've got to get away from that, right? Okay, so I've had numerous people ask me, I keep self-sabotaging. Doc, ever since you told me that's what I was doing, I realized that I'll start something, then I'll self-sabotage. And, you know, one of the things that I have put a lot of effort into developing expertise is in the science of neuroassociative conditioning, which means that people do things based on two totally different, on two primary reasons decisions are made. People make a decision either one because the outcome of their decision will produce pleasure, or they make a decision because the outcome of their decision will alleviate pain. To avoid pain and to produce pleasure, that's how the brain works, period. You're either trying to avoid pain or produce pleasure. Something you want or something you don't want is what you're constantly avoiding, right? Okay, so in essence, that's where it comes from. So you know, I've had numerous people that I've worked with that know they're self-sabotaging but can't stop it, and they want to know what. And the question is, when will I be able to continue on and be truly committed to actually doing what I need to do to come out of this cycle of self-sabotage? And I said, when you get to the point where the pain of where you're at becomes greater than the fear of where you're going, or the fear of the uncertainty of where you're going, is when you'll commit. When it becomes so uncomfortable, when it becomes so painful, when you get so tired of being where you at, that the pain that you're experiencing by staying there becomes greater than the fear of where you're going, is when you're commit. Not until the discomfort of being where you're at is greater than the fear of where you're going. As long as you can see the familiarity, and you will stay there in a place that you are readily admitting you don't like, you will stay there until it becomes absolutely uncomfortable. And you're going to have to train and condition yourself not to wait until it's absolutely a requirement to leave. You need to know when something is better for you to move on it. You got to get used to, I tell you all the time, you're going to have to learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it's true. You've got to learn, okay, for me to grow, it's going to take a level of discomfort. And you got to be comfortable with that discomfort, or you're going to always back into that corner of comfort. the things you know, the familiarity of what you're going through. And I see people all the time. It's amazing how many reasons and justifications people can come up with for being in the bull crap that they're in. And they're acknowledging that it's bull crap. But they'll come up, well, they're really a good person. No, they're beating you. I don't care how nice they talk. I don't care what they do when they're not beating you. The fact that they're beating you means they're not a good person. And I'm just using that as an example. There's so many other things that people go through. So what am I saying? I'm saying that you have to develop a mindset that I'm not going to be drugged into change. I'm going to engage it and embrace it. That's my challenge. And don't forget, get at me about the 90-day challenge. I'm about to get out of here and make some things happen. So once again, thanks. Hopefully you guys had a great week last week, and you're going to get off to a great start this week. And even if you had a challenging week, set the reset button. Make up in your mind what you want to happen this week and get at it. Yes, we're facing some challenging times, but we are built for it. That's what I want to get into your psyche, if nothing else. No matter where we're at right now, we're built for it. We're built to get through it. We're built to be better. This is something that you got to understand, that you don't let life's challenges knock you down and then you lay down. If you get knocked down, dust yourself off. Get up, dust yourself off, straighten yourself out, square your shoulders, hold your head up, and get to moving. There's something about resilience that has value. There's something about perseverance that has value. There's something about refusing to lay down that has value. It's not the fastest. It's not the strongest. It's not the smartest. It's the one that refuses to quit. Trust me. I've seen a bunch of smart people on the ground. I've stayed and stuck. I've seen a bunch of people with a lot of resources at their disposal, stayed and stuck. I've seen some people that everybody and their mama wrote off, rise to the top. Why? Because they just simply refuse to quit. Learn how to adjust, learn how to make the necessary adaptations, learn how to keep moving, because life will open doors for you when you're committed to going the distance. And on that note, I'm going to check out of here. I absolutely appreciate all of you guys. I'm holding you up, lifting you up, sending love. I'm praying for you guys, all of that. But you've got to stand up and get in the fight. You've got to make a commitment to go the distance. That's the challenge. That's going to be the challenge. I'm looking forward to working with those of you who are willing to get out and make something happen. And until later, you guys have a great day. And as I always say, I am going to live my life on full, because when I leave this place, I want to down eat. I don't want to leave any potential untouched, untapped, unactivated, unactualized. I don't want to take anything to the grave with me that I should have done while I was living. And that means I wake up every morning and I do the best I can that day. Some days are better than others. That's life. Life isn't going to lie down for you because all of a sudden you decide you want to be something, that you want to tap into your potential. Life will actually become more challenging the more that you decide you want to make of yourself. Why? Because making something of yourself requires more commitment. It requires more tenacity. It requires more willingness to take on the challenges. It won't allow you to back into a corner of comfort. It simply will not. And on that note, look, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day. I hopefully will get back to you with some more stuff a little later on, maybe a little shorter than this one. But whatever it is, we're going to start really truly challenging one another to rise to the occasion, to meet the challenges of the new normal, whatever that's going to look like when all of this is over. The bottom line is, no matter how it looks, you are built for it. God didn't design you to fail. You've got to understand that. I don't care what the circumstances, listen to me. I don't care what the circumstances are. And when I say I don't care, maybe I'm not voicing that right. No matter what the circumstances, because I do care. No matter what the circumstances are, there's an answer. There's not one problem that the mind of God can't handle. There's not one problem that you're going to face that the answer isn't already there. It's on its way to you, but you got to trust. You got to put in the work. You got to keep going. You got to stop folding and falling back. That's my challenge to you. You guys get ready to get your day started. Whatever that is for you, hey, I'm probably gonna go to the kitchen today. Since everything is in the house, I'm gonna go to the kitchen today. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to the kitchen today. Then I might stop off in the TV room. Who knows? Uh, uh, I'm not gonna get dressed up. I don't do that too often, no way. But I made my wife a promise when it's time to start going out again. I'm gonna start dressing up again. We're gonna see how that goes. But anyway, absolutely, like I said, I believe in you. I believe anybody who wants to do something can. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that it's easy, because it's not. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that you're going to make a decision and all of a sudden everything's going to fall in line, because it's not. It's going to be hard work. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be setbacks. It's going to be delays. But the beautiful thing about these delays is that delay, I tell people all the time, delay does not mean denial. Believe that you were created for something more than just existing and surviving. Believe that no matter where you at, you can figure this thing out. Believe. My wife and sorry, I know I said I was done. My wife and I were talking last night as we lay in the bed preparing to go to sleep. And we were just talking about how it's getting and how jobs just don't seem to be out there. And the acknowledging of that fact didn't change one thing in me about my faith and belief that my family is going to be okay, no matter what happens. With me being a business owner and me pretty much with my company, a lot of what I do is high ticket. And how many people are going to be able to afford what I put out there? I will adjust. I will adapt. I will figure it out. I am never going to be in a situation where I'm helpless, where I'm hopeless, where I'm at the mercy of all of my circumstances. There's something about being connected with God that gives my spirit a new insight on my circumstances. My circumstances may be saying things are bad, but there's something in my spirit that disagrees with my circumstances. There's something in my spirit that acknowledges that the Creator gave me a purpose greater than my circumstances. There's something in my spirit that disagrees with what is happening, not because I'm in a state of denial, but because I know who I am. I'm telling you, this thing gets pretty fantastic. That I've learned, and my grandfather told me a long time ago, he wasn't an educated man. He had a second grade education, but he was wise beyond imagination. He told me that my life was going to be a consecutive cycle of going into a storm, being in a storm, and coming out of a storm. And he told me that my number one responsibility as a man is to make sure that when I'm in that storm, that I come out a better man than went in. And if I do that consistently, I won't have to chase greatness. Greatness would overtake me. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, that there's no storm that's so strong that it will destroy you. God has a way of strengthening you in the storm. You better learn how to rise in the midst of darkness. You better learn how to gather yourself and steady yourself in the midst of darkness. Because darkness has a way of building you up and preparing you for even greater things. It's not going to destroy you. On that note, look, I'm going to get out here. You guys have an unbelievable day. I'm out.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in with a little special announcement for those who have followed me for any stretch of time. Outside of the businesses that I run, like Myriad Business Solutions, the Visionetics Institute, Odyssey Media Group, I also do a great deal of work inside of the inner city communities in Houston, Dallas, and other areas. I'm asking now, as we push a fundraiser, that you support what the Odyssey Project is doing in the inner cities, especially with programs like Black Men Lead, which is a rite of passage initiative, and Restoring Ghetto's Forgotten Daughters, which is a program focused on helping young girls, but boys as well, suffering from childhood sexual abuse, rape, molestation, domestic abuse, absentee fatherhood, and so many other things. The information will be in the box. Thank you.
Here I come, ready or not. Frank Ocean make this record hot.
From a conceptual
Jay sounded better than
perspective,
Jay.
these days, people talk
Real
about a
talk, I
desire
ain't
to be
throwing
successful.
shots. Careful who you leave,